pig was paying a lot of attention to everything going on around us, and so I thought it was a great picture for the title of the sermon. I don't know, it's kind of cute. As pigs go, I don't know, I don't have a lot of experience with pigs. Some of you might know that Clark has a job now. He's been mowing the 3 church properties, the parsonage and the around the church, and the parcel of land that we have kind of kitty-cornered to here. So if it doesn't look very straight or whatever, you know who to talk to. But he's taking it seriously. He's also learning responsibility, kind of looking to see whether it's going to rain on Saturday, so maybe you should do it on Friday. And he wants to visit a friend, which is what he's doing right now, so he had to get most of it done on Friday and whatever. So he's working it out. And last week he noticed the Peace with Justice envelope, and he wanted to put like a ton of money in it. And we're like, well, okay, you've got to look at the reality of how much you have and how much you owe me to and whatever. But still, it's fascinating to watch how he's processing what it means to actually make some money. But the other day, when he was getting close to finishing the church lawn, a woman came with her own lawnmower and told Clark that she would finish mowing because the church had done so much for her, she wanted to give some back. And he thought that was pretty cool and came home and told me about it. And I was like, except that you're getting paid to do this. We want to honor her wanting to give back to the church, but maybe you can direct her to somebody like that can show her that we need reading done and things like that. But anyway, it was just beautiful though to know that this woman, and I'm not sure, I think I know who it is, but that he could witness this too, that the church had done something in her life, and she was so moved by that she wanted to come and help in whatever way that she could. Another woman this week, single mom of 4 kids, was in danger of losing her home, of being evicted. She recently suffered a stroke, and her doctor said she couldn't continue working, and so she was in great despair. She wanted to just roll up in bed and just die. But because of one woman in our midst, a woman of faith, responded to my plea last fall, I had just enough in a special fund to cover her past due rent. Her relief was palpable. I could just feel it. It was amazing, and I just hate that anybody has to come to that point. But imagine the hope she now has that God just might exist, and knowing it through the people of this congregation. God's attention is on us. Just loved that picture. That was so sweet. God showed God's attention on the children through everyone who helped this week, everyone who prayed. Psalm chapter 8 reveals that God is mindful of us. And when we know something about God, it is often to comfort us, right? I'm comforted by the knowledge that God has God's attention on me. So wow, it's really amazing to know this. But if we take a step further and remember that we are also created in the very image of this God, it reveals something about us as well. That is, we are inherently predisposed to pay attention to one another. But God is mindful of us. And in Psalm 42, which is another passage that I didn't make Lori read as well from the lectionary, but it's Psalm 42. As a deer longs for flowing streams, so my soul longs for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and behold the face of God? We are made with this longing to be in relationship with God, to feel the gaze of God on us. We're made for this, to soak in the glory of God, the reality. The glory is the reality of God's presence that we recognize. And God's attention comes in so many ways. So we read in 1 Kings 19 that God repeatedly asks Elijah, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Calling him by his name. God's attention on Elijah, knowing there is something very wrong, but trying over and over again to turn his gaze back onto God. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" But he kept looking. He was so despondent, he just wants to roll up in bed and die. The word of the Lord came to him several times, and Elijah responds with, and quite valid, his complaints. Somebody wants to kill him. I mean, that's a valid complaint. But then he's led to a cave, utterly cut off from everything. The wind that splits the mountains, an earthquake that moved boulders, a raging fire, and then comes sheer, profound silence. That space between when the sound ends and that silence begins. Then there came a voice to him. To know the attention of God, to sense the gaze of God on me, first I must believe that God is. I must have a sense of the existence of God for any of this to mean anything to me. It is an act of faith to listen to God. It is an act of faith to pay attention to God's words, to be attentive to God's voice. You have to believe the voice is coming from God. And when I hear it, I am taking a risk. This leap of faith. In the first, I wrestle with the question, did I really hear God's voice? Or am I hallucinating? I was so convinced in the moment, but was that really what happened? And then it's followed up with the reality of needing to trust